Hey guys, and welcome to Petrol and welcome to my CarVid19 Daily vlog. Uploading a new video every evening at 6 PM to keep you sane during lockdown. Well, it's time for another dog walk video today. The weather is beautiful and sunny. It's mega cold compared to what it's been the last few weeks, but it's also very, very windy. Not sure how this is going to work. Come on, I've got an interesting tale to tell you. Come on girls, this way. Come on. Yeah! Get on, go, 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 go. Come on, guys. Now, it is true to say that the enemy of any YouTuber or videographer is high wind, and believe me, it's windy today. Now, what is the subject of today's video? Well, I thought I'd have a chat with you about the pros and cons of starting your own business, because I've learned a huge amount over the last kind of 2 to 3 years, and I thought I would share that with you, especially in the current economic climate. Clearly, we have this massive health emergency in, all over the world. And in every country it's slightly different in terms of the government response and so on. In the UK, the government, I think, economically have been super brave, and they've got this furlough scheme where employers can have the government pay up to 80% of an employee's salary for a limited period of time, just to kind of basically keep them afloat while we try and deal with this COVID-19 thing. My big worry is that when that furlough scheme ends, there's going to be a huge raft of businesses starting to lay off people, because they're not allowed to lay people off or make people redundant while people are on furlough, or in order to get that furlough funding. So I do think that come later on in the summer we're going to see a raft of redundancies, and that's clearly an awful thing, but I also think potentially anyway that is an opportunity. Now, you may well have thought about being your own boss, running your own business. I certainly did. Now, in my line of work, doing that was a relatively simple transition. I was a full-time trainer for a company, then I ran a training company. So the step to go to be a contract trainer wasn't a massive one, but there were some big hurdles that I needed to overcome. And those are the kind of things I thought I would talk to you about in this vlog. It might be useful. I know it's not car related content, but these walks for me are an opportunity to share stuff with you about my journey. The other thing I should share is, I don't know if you can notice, but the Mrs. Petrol barbers have had a go at my COVID quiff over the weekend. I'm actually quite impressed with this one. So I guess first things first, you need to have a think about what you're going to do and start to put some kind of basic business plan together. But there were things that I learned when I went self-employed that I kind of didn't see coming at all. So first thing is, you need to think of what your company is going to be called. And you might say, well, that's an obvious thing to say and it can't be that difficult. Well, it isn't. You just got to think of a good name that represents what your business is going to be. But then you need to, once you've thought of that name, you need to make sure that no one else has already registered it. So again, in different countries this is going to be slightly different, but here in the UK there's something called Companies House, which is a register of all companies, and you can go on their website and search to see if the name you've chosen is already being used by somebody else. If it isn't being used, that's excellent. The next thing you probably want to do is buy the domain name, or a domain name as close to it as you can get. So you could go to someone like GoDaddy or Nominet and you can do a search for domain names. And what you'll find is, to get those three things to work, a name that works, that isn't being used by somebody else, with the domain name free, will take a while. For me it took, I don't know, 4 weeks maybe, something like that. And I can remember coming up with what I thought was a really good name. And I was playing golf with a friend of mine and I said, I've come up with a really good company name, what do you think? And he just looked at me and went, Ped, it's a bit wanky. So had to start again. So once you've got your name, you've registered the company, you can start working out, and I'm not going to go into whether you become a sole trader or a limited company, that you need to kind of have a look into that and see what's right for you. The next thing is, what about funding? Where's the money going to come from to pay for this? This is where I nearly fell foul in a major way. Now, if you got made redundant, I know that's a bad thing to think about, but you may well get some redundancy money, but you need to finance this new business for a period of time, because you are not going to hit the ground running on day one and start making money. So you need to, for me, have enough money to pay your way for a minimum of 3 months, preferably 6 months. And when I say pay your way, what that means, that's whatever you're going to pay yourself as a salary, which for the first year probably isn't going to be what you would hope it to be, but also what about all your outgoings? And when you start to invoice clients, we'll get on to invoicing in a moment, that takes time for that money to trickle through to the business. Most payment terms you're going to agree with customers is going to be maybe 30 days, sometimes 45, maybe even 60 days. So you do some work for someone, you're not going to get the money for 30 days. So you need to be able to make sure that you can manage your outgoings. So I would say 3 to 6 months worth of money. And the problem I had, and you're going to laugh at this, is when I decided I was going to go out on my own, I had some money, I sold some shares and those types of things, and I looked at all this money in my bank account and went, wicked, I'm going to go and buy a track car. Because I was a YouTuber, I thought this is great, I can make content around it. So I had a quote put together for an R56 Mini Challenge road legal track car. It would have been awesome, but I'm so glad I didn't do it, because I would have been financially absolutely knackered. But so you know, where are you going to get the money from? You might have some shares you can sell, or an IC you can cash in, or some savings in the bank, or some kind of asset that you can sell. So you do need to think about that. Then the thing that stopped me, or certainly held me back from going out on my own for quite a while actually, was I was really worried about how I was going to manage all the financial side of things. It terrifies me. I didn't think, I was thinking, how am I going to invoice clients? How am I going to chase late invoices? How am I going to make sure it's all paid in? And then, how do I manage things like all my tax liabilities as a business? It terrified me. So the thing that kind of eased that terror was getting a really good accountant. Now, I was lucky. I got recommended my accountant from a friend. They said, look, these guys are amazing. They'll really help you. And honestly, I don't think I could have done what I've done without the help of my accountant. They have been amazing in every way. And I would thoroughly recommend that they're not cheap things to have. You might pay them an annual fee or retainer fee. I pay mine every month, and they do everything. They run my payroll, they do my tax return, they are on the end of the phone if I've got any queries, and they are a really useful thing to have, and worth every penny. In the UK, we now have kind of rules in place where businesses have to manage their finances online using some kind of cloud-based accountancy package. I use a package called QuickBooks, which isn't particularly expensive to manage. I just pay a monthly fee to have that. It's provided by my accountant actually, and then my accountant even gave me training on it. And through QuickBooks I do everything. I raise invoices and I chase payments. It's tied in on my bank account, so I can see things coming into my bank account. I run my payroll through it. I do all my taxes. It's way easier than I ever thought. And I look back now and think, why on earth did I not go on my own because of worrying about how I was going to invoice somebody? It was just fool's thinking, really. So I would thoroughly recommend that as a course of action for sure. So you're going to need some support. You're going to need the support of your family and your partner and your friends to be able to do this. It's a big step. You need to think about what you're going to do, but don't let those small hurdles of how to manage the business get in the way. What I would say, it's starting to get very windy here, purposely did it on this little bit of the walk, kind of walk along the side of this field here, because I thought I might be a bit sheltered from the wind, but clearly that's not quite the case. One of the other things which I also find interesting, and you might be tempted by, is the amount of times you hear down the pub, oh, you can put that through the business. Oh yeah, don't worry about that, you can claim the VAT back on that, or you can... There are things you can put through the business, and any decent accountant will help you understand what those things are. but they're not normally the things you hear people down the pub saying you can put through the business. Don't be tempted into doing things for cash or being dodgy or not claiming stuff, because you will get caught out, and when you get caught out, believe me, you're going to get a rogering so hard you're not going to sit down for a week. The HMRC are not very they're not very happy when people try and take them for a ride. What I would also say, and I would love to know how many YouTubers out there who are getting ad revenue from Google claim the ad revenue in the proper way, either by putting it on their tax return at the end of the year, or like I do, putting it through their business. I'm sure many of them don't. I'm sure many of them have a full-time job or a source of income and just have it coming in on the side. I wouldn't recommend you doing that. So if you are a YouTuber out there and you are earning ad revenue, and I know it's absolutely dire at the moment, my sources of income have just fallen through the floor in the last 4 weeks. Google ad revenue has just gone poof. It's at half the value it was 4 or 5 weeks ago probably. My training job, because of no classroom training, is much more pared back. I've got some online stuff and clearly no TV work at the moment, so it is very challenging. And maybe that's another thing to think about, is when you're running a business, you really need to make sure that you have money set aside for the things that matter. So you make sure you put your tax to one side when the tax bill comes in. And that's another thing. Companies in the UK have been able to defer VAT and corporation tax until April next year, which is amazing, and I've taken advantage of that, and that's fantastic. However, come April next year, the taxman's going to want his money. And I'm also sure that there are lots of small businesses out there that have deferred their tax payments till next year, and when April comes, they're not going to have the money. Oh, blimey. I'm just going to walk up here and get some shelter from another bit of maybe a bit more of a thorough hedge there. So I'm pretty sure that come April next year, there's lots of small businesses that are going to have their corporation tax or their VAT due, and they're not going to have the money, and they're going to be absolutely knackered. Because when you run your business, it's quite easy to see the money in the bank account and think, whoa, look at that. It's the business's money, not yours. So you can take it out in whatever form you want, dividend or salary or whatever. But you need to make sure you hold enough money in there, enough liquidity in there, so that you've got the money to do things like run your payroll, to pay your suppliers. Cash flow is the thing that kills small businesses. So, my final tip, if you like, is always make sure you keep enough cash in the business to see you through rough and tough times, if that's possible. I'm lucky at the moment, certainly in terms of my business, I've got the ability to weather these tough times, to weather the reduction in income, and hopefully I'll be okay, but who knows, it depends how long these restrictions last. So I know that this isn't a particularly car related subject, but honestly, for my mental well-being and my just general home life, the step to becoming self-employed has been a game changer for me. I didn't see how unhappy I was. I didn't see my mood changes. Your loved ones will see that. And the fulfillment I get from being my own boss, the joy I get from doing some work for somebody, sending them an invoice the next day, and then 30 days later see that money come into my business bank account, is indescribable. I love it. It's what makes me get up every day and work really hard. And therefore I cannot shout highly enough or recommend highly enough being your own boss. Now, I know it's not for everybody. There's some of you won't, the jobs that you do or the skill sets that you have won't easily translate into working for yourself, but don't be scared of it. If things turn bad over the next few months, if you get made redundant or if your job starts to look dodgy, don't be scared of it. See this as an opportunity, grasp it, because I honestly think that whilst economic tough times ahead are absolutely guaranteed, I think there's opportunities to make the best of it. And working for yourself might be that. Who knows? Anyway, I know this is a very different kind of vlog. I hope you've enjoyed it. I've been thinking about doing this one for a couple of weeks. Clearly we're on lockdown now. I don't think the restrictions are going to lift for quite some time. I'm still going to carry on trying to do my daily uploads. It's becoming more and more challenging as the days go by to be creative and think about what the content's going to be. But I'm still going to do it because many of you are enjoying it, and it's certainly keeping me sane as well. Anyway, I'm going to sign off on this one. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have done so, please give me a thumbs up. Comments below are always welcome, and if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to Petrol for plenty more content to come. I'll join me next Monday for another dog walk, and then all the videos between now and then. I hope you enjoy them. You stay safe, guys. I know it's worrying times, but it'll be all right in the end. Well, let's hope so anyway. See you on the next one. Stay safe.